Hi, I'm Dr. David Krohse from Moines Chiropractic. A few years back I had all the symptoms of a hip labral tear. I was having sharp pain with every step, and for a while I definitely couldn't run. But once I got to the point that I could walk without pain, I looked at running and said, how can I run in a way that puts much less stress on my hip? And my plan had success. Ultimately I got to run a full marathon. I qualified for Boston. And so today I'm going to go over my plan of how I was able to run without pain even after having severe sharp hip pain, and you can see if it's something you want to put in place for yourself. The first thing we're going to go over are the different things that put stress into your hip joint when you run. The first source of stress is landing on your heel. Your heel is rigid with no shock absorption, just like this pen. When a rigid object hits the ground, there's a shock that bounces back up. Try stomping on the ground with the bare foot to experience the shock that will go up through your heel, to your shin, to your upper leg, and into your hip. Watch for the impact in my shin and calf as my heel hits the ground. Now try stomping, but don't let your heel touch the ground. In this situation, the shock is absorbed by your plantar fascia, your Achilles tendon, and your calf muscles. With this 4-foot strike running, you can see the calf activate as the foot touches the ground, but you don't see that same shock up and through the shin. The second source of stress is the up and down movement of your body. A lot of people's hips move up and down 1.5 to even 3 inches while they run. Imagine a giant person standing behind you and lifting you up 2 to 3 inches and dropping you repeatedly for half an hour or an hour. How will your hips feel after that? One reason cycling is considered low impact on the hips is that the hips don't move up and down at all. My goal when I was trying to heal my hips was to keep my body moving up and down a centimeter or less. The third source of stress is landing with your foot out in front of your body. This can be thought of as stomping on the brakes in the car. If you stomp on the brakes, your whole body jolts forward. The same thing happens when you run and you land with your foot out in front of your body. My goal was to have my foot land underneath my center of gravity so that I never got that stomping on the brakes sensation up into my hip. The fourth source of stress is how much your upper leg swings back and forth with every step. Big swings of the upper leg will certainly cause more stress than tiny swings back and forth. To sum this all up, if you've never worked on your running form, your running is probably very close to a series of jumps with a lot of stress up into the hips as a result. With the right strategies, you should be able to transition your running into a smooth glide with much less bounce and minimal stress into your hip. When your upper body is straight up and down, you have to jump forward to propel yourself in the right direction. Try leaning forward to experience that you can move forward without jumping, just by leaning forward. If you take multiple steps while leaning forward, you'll find that your foot lands underneath your center of gravity, and each step is a small step. These are two of our goals for running with less stress into the hips. Practice your lean by standing about a foot away from the wall and keep your ankles, hips, and shoulders all in line. Don't bend forward or backwards at the waist. I waited until I was able to walk without pain, and I was able to do these tiny single leg jumps without letting the heel touch the ground without pain before I started these other drills. I downloaded a metronome app and set it to 195 to 200 beats per minute. The next drill is to run in place with the smallest steps possible, a 4-foot strike where your heel never touches the ground, and match that 195 or 200 beats per minute. Quick small steps limit the bounce in your running and limit the movement forward and backward of your hip. The next drill starts the same way, but then when you're ready, you'll lean forward and try to feel your body be pulled forward. Focus on keeping the upper legs more still, with most of the motion coming below the knee. This will minimize that back and forth stress into the hip. Visualize a tight bungee cord going from the center of your chest to a tree or a pole 100 yards out in front of you. Imagine the bungee cord is pulling you where you want to go, and all you have to do is lean in and enjoy the ride. People that get the hang of this say that their running feels effortless. The last drill is to stand in place, lean forward, and try to jump onto the right cadence and the right form as quickly as possible. The key characteristics of this style of running will be a forward lean, super quick, super small steps with the upper leg moving minimally, a 4-foot strike where the heel never touches the ground, and as little bounce as possible. You should be trying to just glide along. Wearing a baseball cap can help you tell how much you're moving up and down as you watch the brim of the cap move up and down in relation to the trees of the horizon. Here are some of the rules that I followed to ease back into running after injuring my hip. I didn't try any of these strategies until I was out of sharp pain and was able to walk without pain. If you've never run with a 4-foot strike, it will take a while for your lower legs to build up the strength to maintain that. It would be wise to start the first week with 30 seconds of running, 30 seconds of walking. Then you could transition to 1 minute of running and 1 minute of walking. Then you might get to do 1.5 minutes of running and 30 seconds of walking. And finally, on the 4th week, you get to run continuously. Wear light shoes with a minimal drop. If I was having this problem today, I would probably be trying a pair of Hoka 1-1s. If you can't run with the proper form and the proper cadence, just stop. You don't want to injure yourself. Finally, I know it can be devastating if you do feel a sharper pain in your hip, but seriously, listen to your body, stop running, and don't re-injure or aggravate that area. Give it a few days and you might be able to start back into the plan. To learn more about my story and these strategies, click over to my website through the show notes. Also, I'd love to read a comment about your story of hope or success. Thanks for watching.